15 lakhs of income, there won't be any income tax.
The entire tax that the government is going to collect is only going to increase.
If you look in the US, the highest income tax slab goes to nearly 47%.
Direct income tax collection from individuals is increasing at a much faster pace.
That's definitely not good for the country.
You don't want to pay income tax. You don't want to pay for electricity. You don't want to pay for any actual necessities that you want.
The Reliance Jio IPO is coming very soon. There are a lot of positive analysts recommending 70% upside on the stock.
There is no brand loyalty here. Let's be real. Vodafone Idea as a stock has been a favorite among investors from 6 rupees to 19 rupees. Stock moved up nearly 230%.
I think they're the most loss-making corporate in the history of the country.
The trailing 12 months loss is nearly 30,000 crores.
How this would affect the stock market participants?
I think there's a small possibility that the stock could recover, and that's what everyone is banking on.
From a short-term perspective, it's a pure gamble. It could be a natural death to the company or a disastrous takeover.
In this week's podcast, we are discussing two major stories. The first topic of this podcast is going to be super important for every salaried individual in India, because there is a rumor floating around that nobody who is earning up to 15 lakh rupees in India will have to pay any tax. That means you are going to live in a tax-free future if your earning is under 15 lakh. Sounds great, right? But we'll get in depth into the topic and the rumors here. We'll look into what or why these rumors have started. Is it actually possible? Will the government think of it this way? And what is going to be an alternate future where if the government loses this income tax revenue, what other taxes are they going to increase? So we'll discuss all of that in the first topic. And towards the second half of the podcast, we also got into the crowd favorite stock, Vodafone Idea, which has moved up nearly 7% this week. We got into research reports saying that the stock has 70% upside, and we looked into what all are the possible futures for the stock. Is it going to rally up so much from here, or is it going to die down? This podcast is going to be super informative, so make sure you watch till the very end. And if you think that somebody can find this content useful, make sure you share it to them also, because our goal is to spark that intellectual curiosity in you that makes you want to explore the Indian stock market better. And make sure you subscribe to the Market Feed Clips channel, where you can watch bite-sized pieces of content from inside this podcast. Anyway, let's get started with it. Nifty and the market actually moving up really strongly this week, especially IT and even auto stocks. iShare moved up 8% today. All the stocks doing really well, but not without causing a lot of damage for traders.
Absolutely. I mean, think about the Nifty movement, right? Since last Friday, Nifty moved down 2% and then it is back up 3%. I am sure investors are very happy, but the traders are not.
Yeah, I mean, we are also not really happy here at Market Feed. Our automated trading strategies this week making losses in the tunes of 4 to 5%. Absolutely unacceptable is something I'd say as a trader who is trading the same strategies, right? I mean, we have 3 strategies live on Market Feed's platform. Anyone can come and automate it in their accounts. And I also do the same, including me, Nihal and Ajay. We are also trading the same strategies. The entire team at Market Feed has also put in a good amount of money into the same strategies. And again, the strategies losing 4 to 5% in a week is not our standards. That we have held ourselves accountable to, because we've been doing this for the last 27 months, which is more than 2 years now. And with this week's losses, we are ending the last quarter, October, November, December, and this is a quarter which we are ending in loss. And I would love to re-establish the fact that in our 27 months of operation, this is for the very first time we are making losses in a quarter. And making loss in a quarter is definitely sad, and then 1 week loss itself going into such high numbers is definitely bad. One thing I can say is, hey, this has happened. We always learn from what has happened and we try to get better, and that's the only thing we can do as traders. Something which has happened. Now, how do you adapt, get better? And those are things that we are all focusing on. I mean, yes, we come here and do the podcast and do stuff on our media outlet, which I think we should definitely do, but otherwise my entire focus back at office during all normal days is just to obsess over research and making great strategies, measuring our strategies. And one thing I can always tell is we are completely focused and obsessed on this. And that is what we'll get back to again. Yeah. But
Yeah. So if you're taking a Narayana Murthy's work week of 70 to 80 hours, I'm sure your time in media is coming up to maybe 5 to 6 hours today,
Yeah.
and maybe could even increase, but then it's still a fraction of the entire mind space that you and the entire mind space of the quant research team, which is being put into developing amazing strategies, right? I think we have to take this one on the chin,
Yep.
hold strong and move forward.
Absolutely.
And before we start, let me just quickly introduce your hosts for the week. My name is Ajay Ajit. This is Nihal.
Hi.
And this is Sharik Shamsin,
Hi.
CEO and co-founder of MarketFeed.
So, let us first get into that very interesting topic, which the rumors are being circulated around, right? Which is up to 15 lakhs of income, there won't be any income tax.
Damn.
And if this actually comes true, 95% of Indians won't have to pay any income tax. Think about that.
95% of Indians who are paying tax today, they
Absolutely.
will not have to pay tax
Yeah.
anymore. I think all of the middle class, most of the people that we know and who are working, the regular working class, they'll be super happy about this, right?
But again, who started this rumor? And is this even any truth to this?
Yeah, so it's mostly just rumors, like you rightly said, right? I mean, we are just seeing news articles on this, and more importantly, people on Twitter and Reddit talking and hyping up even more, discussing this rumor again, saying that, hey, probably the tax rate cut would happen. But we've seen such rumors even in the past, so we can't be really sure about if this is true or not. But hey, again,
Yeah.
just
And
rumors.
on the other side, industry bodies have demanded or asked the government, saying that by the budget 2025, hey, consider increasing the government spending, consider decreasing the taxes, and consider increasing more jobs in the Indian economy so that small and medium businesses can thrive. So
Right.
when taxes are reduced, that's what actually happens. People have more money to spend, and companies and the entire economy gets a shot in the arm, right? They get boosted. That's what industry bodies are requesting.
Absolutely. But again, when we talk about these income tax and taxation, when anything happens, people get frustrated so easily. Even in the last 1-2 years, if we actually see, so many people, individuals, salaried individuals, are getting so pissed off with this topic. What's happening?
So,
Why?
I was looking at the data from 2013. I didn't go much back before that. But every year since 2013 till 2024, the corporate tax collection in India was higher than the personal income tax collection. Okay, that means companies were paying more tax than individuals. But the previous year, this number flipped, and we ended up seeing a year where Indians paid a net income tax of more than 10.44 lakh crore, and that is just 2.3 crore individuals. Okay, and corporates, on the other hand, paid 9.11 crore lakhs only. Right? So you can see that is where the frustration comes in. Direct income tax collection from individuals is increasing at a much faster pace, and people are not liking that.
Right. So I get that point where individuals are now paying more tax to the government than corporates, and that is something you can see on the percentage tax slabs that individuals and corporates are also on, right? So individuals, as we know, from an income of 5 lakh rupees, their income tax slab start at around 5%, and it goes to the maximum slab of nearly 40% as well. An individual who would be making crores of rupees of income will have to pay nearly 40% of tax. While if you look into corporates, the income tax slab is capped at nearly 25%. You add your surcharges and stuff on top of that, and it'll come to nearly 30%. So corporates, maximum tax they have to pay is nearly 30%, while an individual, it could even go up till nearly 40%. So again, reasons for why individuals are not liking it. They are frustrated, and even when things are not going great for the economy and going great for people as well overall, they definitely look at tax as a villain and start blaming on that as well, right?
Absolutely. And now when there are rumors around that the income tax could be cut down, I think that is making so many salaried individuals happy. And again, from the government standpoint, again, it is making the voters very happy, the salaried people very happy, and more money getting flown into the economy, right?
So back in 2019, when the corporate tax was cut, the idea there was you have to incentivize corporates to make, manufacture and be in India, And for that, the tax rate needs to be competitive globally. But I think for personal income tax, your points make a lot of sense.
But anyway, again, lesser people are paying taxes anyway, not a major dent to the government, and it's a win-win situation for both the governments as well as the salaried individuals, right? But again, historically also, I remember some time ago there was like 95, 96% income tax. I mean, historically, how were these taxations?
Yeah, so if you look into India's history of income tax, early in the 1970s, the highest tax slab was nearly 98 percentage.
I mean, think about how much money. I mean, there wouldn't be any money left for them to actually use, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this was actually done so that wealth redistribution could be done and it could be used better for the economy, but it clearly did not work well, obviously.
And I wonder how many people paid that tax.
Exactly. People found ways to evade that, and it was definitely not a great decision. But by 1980s, we saw this highest tax slab rate coming down to nearly 50%. Still a very high, large number. But by 1990s, things were getting better. More tax slabs were coming into the picture. Things were getting better. But it was in 97, 98 where the dream budget actually got presented by the then finance minister P. Chidambaram. So that was the time when actually the tax slabs came down to nearly 30%. The highest slab coming down to 30%. So the history has been very different. I mean, it's not at all in a way that we think about today. There was a time, like we discussed, right, where the highest tax slab used to be even 98%. So this is how things have happened. But post 98, then the world as we see it today has been happening. A lot of slabs within this has been happening. But the highest tax slab rate coming down to 30-40% is from 97, 98 only.
And absolutely. And now I think the 30% is still being continued. And again, when, us being Indians, we always criticize government of being, government taking lot of taxes from us. But we also have to understand there are few countries where the actual income tax is much higher. If you look into Belgium, they have like 60% income tax. Even Canada has 58% tax. And we are now comfortably, our highest bracket is at 39%.
Yeah, even very famously US. I mean, US is a benchmark for a lot of things, right? You look into US and California especially, the highest income tax slab there goes to nearly 47%. So
Absolutely.
it is not like Indian government is taxing our citizens a lot. It is happening even in such economies that we look up to, right?
Yeah. But one thing I feel that we have to be very mindful about is whenever we are having these discussions, who is paying this tax, right? Who is ending up paying the highest tax is the question there.
Yeah.
So if in any of those countries, only the rich are paying the highest tax, I don't think that people or the masses will have that much of a problem.
Yeah.
But on the other side, if in a country, even the normal middle class or even the lower income class is paying a huge amount as taxes, they will surely be frustrated. And as you said, the vote bank is going to be surely a problem if the government start thinking that way and try to milk in the maximum taxes from the general public.
Yeah, rightly said. But again, now that under 15 lakhs of income, there won't be any tax. I'm sure that government would take some amount of it, right? So how is this even going to affect our economy?
So the first thing that could happen is boosting compliance. So a lot more people would get into the habit of filing their taxes. So eventually, when their income goes up and even beyond that 15 lakhs mark, they'll end up paying tax, which a lot of people are not paying today. And the second thing is economic growth. So when taxes are reduced, the people have more spending power. That means instead of the government spending money to grow the economy, now the people themselves, they can choose where to spend the money, and small businesses as well as money circulation in the economy, they'll become much better. And that's on the side of the government.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're thinking on the side of individuals, you have the obvious answer because they'll have a lot more money to spend. They can decide where to spend it, right? They have that freedom. And I feel that's where I would like to highlight this point that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, anyone earning more than 15 lakhs, they were considered a rich person in India.
Yeah.
But today, they are the middle class. Right? That's how things have worked out. Money has lost its purchasing power. Inflation has happened. And I think it is a very forward-looking thing. If the government goes ahead with this proposal, I think the economy will be more better than ever. And individuals and the vote bank will also be more happier than ever.
So now that there could be a tax cut, how this would affect the stock market participants?
Now, thinking about a tax cut, hearing that word and thinking about the stock market, all I can remember is the 2019, the very famous Nirmala Sitharaman candle, right? So 2019, on a very fine day, Nirmala Sitharaman came out and said that, hey, corporate tax is going to be cut and to be reduced to 25%. And that was the day, I mean, the kind of candles that Nifty saw going up and up and up, it was really crazy. So again, speaking about a tax cut, that is something which comes to my mind for the very first time. But now, collecting my thoughts and being a bit more serious here, if tax is getting cut, what will happen? People will have to pay less money, which would mean that people might have more money in their hand. If they have more money in their hand, what would they do? They'll spend more. And if they're spending more, companies' revenue could increase. And if companies' revenues are increasing, then obviously the stock prices of the companies could move up again. So again, stock market could see, because of an indirect effect, stocks could move up and markets could like positively be impacted by this. So that's definitely there. And also, when people have more money in their hand, I want them to be using that money well, saving well, rather than spending and investing also. So that's also something that I'm looking forward to.
So now that we are seeing government is trying to help salaried individuals and giving some tax relief, but again government still have to make some money from somewhere. They have to bring up revenue so that they have to run the country, right? So what would they do?
So the Indian government earns most of its direct tax revenue from people earning more than 1 crore per year. So even if this change is introduced, the hope is that it won't be a huge hit for the India's direct tax collection system. And on the other hand, we also have the very forward-looking statement of GST coming into play and indirect taxes being increased. You can see that conversations, caramel popcorn and whatnot being discussed, where the regulations are trying to bring everyone in the country under the tax bracket. So we have the last saying that even in India, only 2% of population end up paying tax. So in order to change that, you can start increasing your indirect taxes, trying to reach more people through that, and trying to reduce your direct taxes. I think that's a good way to go for India.
Absolutely. Even I saw Nikhil Kamath saying in one of the interviews saying that, okay, in direct taxes, anyway, very less people are actually filing the taxes and paying, like rightly you said. So if we increase taxes on goods and services that we use, which is GST
And
again.
transaction taxes is what I
Absolutely.
think he mentioned.
So that people have to do it every day. You're buying a chocolate, you're buying a car, you're doing anything. There is some transaction happening, and crores of people are actually doing it every day. And you take 1 2 rupees more from everyone, you're collecting a lot more money indirectly, which is again tax.
Yeah. So even a farmer who's making more than 10 crore rupees annually, he does not have to pay a single rupee in tax. Imagine that. But if this indirect taxes increased, like maybe he goes to buy a new S-Class, right? He anyway has to end up paying tax. So that's what the ideology here is. But one thing that I want the audience to very clearly understand is that the entire tax that the government is going to collect is only going to increase. They'll find out ways for better taxation. Maybe it might be a more equitable solution. That means everyone is happier. But I don't think that the tax you're going to pay is going to reduce. Because if you're looking at the tax to GDP ratio of India, it is only 11%. You compare it to the US, it is 25% there. That means whatever tax the government collects, it is coming out to nearly 25% of the government's GDP. Even in China, it is 20%. The World Bank says that you should at least have a tax to GDP ratio of 15% in order to grow as an economy. But here, India is at 11% and we are fighting for tax cuts. So something has to give in. But I think the logical thing here to do is bring more people under the tax bracket, either by indirect taxes or some new radical change, and try to make it equitable for everyone. That's what I think.
But again, one very strong opinion like I would want to put across here is, many people blame government to collect taxes and all. But again, those salaried individuals or the commoners in India are again looking for freebies. They want free electricity, free buses, and everything. They want government to supply it to them. And where will government supply? You don't want to pay income tax. You don't want to pay for electricity. You don't want to pay for any actual necessities that you want. And now you are asking government, why are the infrastructure bad? Why are you collecting taxes? Come on, guys. How will they even, run this government? How will they run this whole economy? So they'll have to do something to make money out.
Yeah.
And that is where all these indirect taxes are coming in.
Yeah.
And like GDP ratio, the debt to GDP ratio,
Tax to
the
GDP.
tax to GDP ratio, like rightly Ajay said, we are compared to China and everything, we are still in a decent place and we are still fighting for it. I think, come on, guys, we have to change our mindset a little bit here.
But before we move on to the next story, one thing I'd like to re-establish is the fact that this is just a rumor.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
While there are rumors saying that tax cut would be there for people earning anything near 15 lakh rupees, there are strong rumors and people coming with strong opinions that such rumors always come and go, and most probably this would not materialize
Yeah.
also.
So even last year, there were a lot of rumors, and
Yeah.
what ended up happening was effectively you would have paid 5,000 rupees less tax over an entire year. I mean, that's not much, right?
Yeah.
So again, this year, there could be tax cuts, but will it be at the magnitude or the level at which people are expecting or they're hoping for? I think the only logic that I can say to our viewers is wait till February 1st. That's
Absolutely.
going to be the budget day. That's when all of this is going to be announced, and it'll be very clear. Every news channel, in fact, even we'll talk about it, right? It'll be very clear to all of you on the budget day. Don't try to make any speculation before that. But we just wanted to give you an overview of what could happen, what are the economic impacts of it, what is something or what could change. The government still has to make money. What could change there? So all those scenarios is what we wanted to discuss. So hope everyone has a lot of clarity there.
Absolutely. And when you mentioned the budget coming out on February 1st, which is a Saturday, the trader in me really wants to mention this point that Saturday, normally where the market is closed, will remain open on February 1st, the Saturday, on the day where a budget is going to be announced. But one thing which was very interesting was when I'm on Twitter, I see a lot of people saying, hey, now NSE wants to even make more money and milk traders by keeping the exchange open on an exchange day, on a budget day, which is Saturday. But that is a misconception. So I really want to correct that here. There have been instances in the past where budget was announced on a Saturday and market remained open on a Saturday. So it's not a new thing where NSE wants to make more money or any conspiracy theories of sorts. It's a normal thing for the market to remain open on a budget day. If that's on a Saturday.
So budget usually happens from Monday to Saturday. Never happens on a Sunday. So if it's on a Saturday, which happens maybe once in every 5-10 years, market is open.
Absolutely.
So I think that's not a huge concern or a huge conspiracy. Yes, as actually Sharik said. And that's where I would like to move into the second story, which is Vodafone Idea moving up 6%. I know it's not a multi-month high, not even close to an all-time high, but the stock moving up, and for a really good reason, I would say. So the Department of Telecommunication, they made a certain change in their rules, which for now is looking to benefit only Idea, right? Or benefiting Idea the most. So all telecoms were supposed to give a bank guarantee to the Department of Telecommunication for any licenses they were taking before 2022. Now they've moved away from that regulation, and that for Idea means an impact of nearly 22,000 crore. They don't have to keep that bank guarantee anymore. So I think investors are happy. There are a lot of positive analysts recommending up to 70% upside on the stock. And I think that's a good situation for the company for the very short term. So we'll get into it more deeply in this section.
Yes, and Vodafone Idea as a stock has been a favorite among investors and among newbie early investors, because again the stock price is very less, right, near 10 rupees, so it is a penny stock of sorts. People know the brand, so people really want to ride the moves and make some money, right? Very interesting data here. So if you look into the last near 12-15 months from April 2023 to July 2024, which is what, nearly a year, slightly above a year, stock moved up nearly 230% from what, 6 rupees to 19 rupees. And
Crazy.
from July 24 to Jan 25, which is in the last near 6 months alone, it moved down by 60%.
So if anyone had invested 1 lakh rupees into Vodafone Idea, they would be sitting with just on 40,000 rupees.
Absolutely.
In between, but that 1 lakh would have gone up to what? 2-3 lakh rupees.
Yeah,
even.
absolutely.
So that's the kind of volatility the stock has. And again, that is the reason why investors or traders love the stock, because it's a penny stock. It moves up, down crazily. So there are opportunities to trade and make money. Again, the reason why the Vodafone Idea story keeps on being discussed in a lot of forums.
But again, if we look into the actual CAGR of the stock and the investors, the hardcore, true, loyal we investors, if you look into, they wouldn't be happy, right? Because if you look into the data, the last 10 years CAGR is down by 23%. And if you just look into 5 years data, it is giving 6% positive. Then 3 years looking at minus 20%. And the last 1 year alone, like Sharik rightly said, if you look into overall picture, it is down by 49%. So that is not looking that great. And
But
even
do you think that the company is growing in between this time? What's happening? I think the audience would love to know that.
I mean, the revenue is also not growing that much. It is almost declining, I would say. If you look into last 10 years of revenue growth, it is just around 5%. And even if you look into last 3 years, it is just 1%. And if you look at in this year, I mean, there is no growth at.
In fact, I'll bring some context there by talking about a competitor, which is Airtel. So Vodafone Idea, if you see, they are making revenue of nearly 40,000 crores in a year, while Airtel is making so much revenue in just one quarter. And talking about profitability, Vodafone Idea, anyways, is famously making losses. The trailing 12 months loss is nearly 30,000 crores.
I think they're the most loss-making corporate in the history of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Totaling up to more than 2.5 lakh crore rupees in losses in the last 8 to 10 years.
Right. So while Vodafone Idea is making losses of nearly 30,000 crores, Airtel is actually making profits of nearly 18,000 crores. So that is the kind of disparity that we see with Vodafone Idea when we compare it with its competitors.
Yeah, so when you're talking about revenue and even profits, I think it's sort of priced into the stock, because if you're looking at Idea, the market cap of the company is 50,000 crores. But if you're looking at Airtel, it is having a market cap of 10 lakh crore rupees. And nice that you brought Airtel also into the play, because I would like to highlight that the Reliance Jio IPO is coming very soon. A lot of buzz happening this week, and IPO valuation is again expected somewhere around 10 lakh crores for that company also.
Yeah, I mean, Jio is doing absolutely phenomenal. And even like Sharik rightly mentioned, Airtel is also at a very good place. And these both are like dominating the telecom industry. And they're kind of forming like a duopoly. And that is where Vodafone tried to partner with Idea. And that also didn't work out really well for them.
Yeah, I'll also like to remind the fact that yes, Vodafone merged with Idea, but then there is Government of India also in Vodafone Idea as a company, right? So as of today, Government of India is holding nearly 30% of the company. And I'll just
That's
like
crazy.
to remind us all of that AGR issue
Yeah.
that Vodafone Idea used to have. So 16,000 crores of debt via AGR dues that they owed to the government was converted into equity. So Government of India is actually a kind of a considerable shareholder in the company. And obviously governments hate duopolies, right? So think about a world where it is a duopoly of Jio and Airtel.
Yep.
So they'll just keep increasing prices and do whatever they want to do. And
Like
that's
what they've been doing right now.
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's definitely not good for the country. So this government, this Competition Council of India, so they would definitely not like a duopoly. So yes, Government of India is there in Vodafone Idea as a stock. Then Government of India is there as BSNL of sorts. So definitely there are other forces in the industry that we need to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, when you rightly spoke about BSNL, like you mentioned, there were also rumors that said that BSNL could or maybe merge with V, and that would have been absolute a disaster. Because I mean, look at the V's debt, which is now standing at more than 2,20,000 crores or something, and this 3,000 crores is supposed to be given to financial institutions, and just for the government alone, they are still in a debt of more than 2 lakh crores, right? So I mean, that would have been a very big disaster if that would have happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people are able to wrap their heads around the fact or to grasp the magnitude of debt worth 2 lakh crores for a company which is not even making profits, or that's a crazy number.
I mean,
right?
imagine how many companies in India have a market cap of more than 2 lakh crore.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be less than 100. So in a world like that, the idea having 2 lakh crore is absolutely crazy. And I think the government can do it. So it's like very straightforward, right? So the market cap of Idea today is around 50,000 crores. Government already owns 30%, so the remaining is nearly 35,000 crores of market cap. Government can easily make LIC or any other institutions go ahead and buy out Idea from the public and other shareholders. But it will be setting a very bad precedent for the Indian corporate ecosystem, right? Any corporate that is dying, will the government go ahead and buy it? I don't think so, right? And that's a bad place to be in. I think that'll be a lot of trouble.
So what could possibly happen with the V stock right now? How should we look into in short term and long term?
Yeah, in short term, it is a pure gamble like it has always been. Vodafone Idea is a stock which keeps on moving 50, 100% up and down with any slight news around the stock anywhere. So from a short term perspective, it's a pure gamble. Now, speaking about long term, it could be a natural death to the company or a disastrous takeover, right? Natural death because debt is too high and the company's revenue is not growing and it is making huge losses as well. With such large debt, it could go into bankruptcy and a natural death is a possibility, or a disastrous takeover of the company like Reliance Jio IPO is happening, or some other, maybe a BSNL or a government could do a disastrous takeover, which definitely wouldn't be good for the company and its shareholders.
Yeah, Jio would raise enough money in their IPO to buy Idea outright. They'll raise 40,000 crores. Idea's market cap today is only 50,000 crores. So they can go ahead and place a bid. And if the competition commission approves, which I don't think it will, they can easily buy Idea outright. And I mean, they're still a market leader if you think about it. They have 15% market share. We can't call them a leader, but they're the third largest telecom company in India. And I think that's not to be discounted. And that's where there's a tiny possibility of a recovery there, right? Because if the government and the promoters, which is the Aditya Birla group, they actually pump in a lot of money, they actually help the stock a lot, I think there's a small possibility that the stock could recover. And that's what everyone is banking on.
I mean, now if you put it like that, then if a company like this is doing all the right things in the playbook of the industry, then yes, they can come back, right? One, as you rightly said, is big support from the promoters. If they're bringing in a lot of money, pumping in a lot of money with, I don't know what hopes, but if they're doing that and paying off the debt is taken care of, then they do all the right things in the playbook, like, hey, go after a segment where you can make high average revenue per user, give great quality and service. And then also we spoke about this, right? I mean, because of the duopoly of sorts, prices have gone up. So if they are offering great plans at great prices, maybe a lot of users, there is no brand loyalty here, let's be real.
Absolutely.
So users can go back to Vodafone Idea, they could come back. So if you really want to have a discussion around their comeback, then yeah, I mean, if they're doing all these things, there is a theoretical possibility of a comeback as well.
Absolutely. And India being a price sensitive market, if you get the pricing right, I mean, people will still, move away from, like, there is no loyal users in India. So wherever there is right price, people will move there. Yeah.
So let me try to summarize this. So in the short term, it is a gamble. In the long term, there are two scenarios. One is it could have a natural death or a huge disastrous takeover, as Sharik said, or there is a slight chance that what everyone is trying to bet on, which is the recovery mode, where the company becomes company, that is Vodafone Idea, does really well, turns around a lot from here, and the shareholders can make money. But there is also one catch here. Whenever the government or promoters, they're trying to infuse in more cash, it won't be for free, right? There will be equity being purchased, and that means your total market cap of the company is increasing, share price could decrease. Okay, so there is always that possibility. Whenever money is being pumped in, share prices could not move.
Exactly. That is where I'd like to remind that the stock price of Vodafone Idea used to be at nearly or even above 100 rupees back in the days. So people think that, hey, the valuation was very high, now it has come down so much. That isn't the case. When the stock price was at 20 rupees...
1 year ago, I think.
Yeah, that is where the company had its highest market capitalization. So your point is very, very relevant. Yeah.
That's nice to hear. So I think that's where we would like to wrap up the story. What you have to understand is, yes, it could be a good scenario, which is a very less probable scenario. But even in that less probable scenario, there is even less probability for shareholders to make money over the very, very long term. Okay, maybe in the short term, yes, we might be wrong. But over the long term, you have to consider all of these possibilities before you even think about investing into the stock. And that's where I would like to wrap up today's episode. I think we discussed two great stories, not as usual where we discuss 3 or more stories, but hope the audience got a lot of value from this.
Absolutely. I know viewers would be a little bit disappointed with us just discussing 2 great stories and not 3.
Disappointed or not, that's something again.
Absolutely.
As we always do, we
us
look
know.
into the comment section. We'd like to hear from them.
But again, I would like to assure that the next podcast that we are going to bring an interesting topic where we are actually going to give them an alternative to Nifty 50 index investing, a better option which gives more returns with less volatile. And I mean, we are doing an internal research and we want to be very sure if that is the right thing to do. And obviously we are going to come with that banger podcast topic in the next video. So I mean, they would have to wait and watch for that.
Yeah. So as always, you are the 4th participant of the show. So make sure you let us know any and all of your thoughts in the comments down below. We would like to wrap up the show by reminding you that you should be subscribing to the Market Feed Clips channel, where we post short bite-sized content from each of these episodes. And also don't forget to watch the shorts on either Market Feed's Instagram channel or this YouTube channel itself. So yes, as always, this is Ajay signing off. See you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.